You asked everyone in the Good Areas chat about which teams from the past could beat India, at home. And it's a fair question to ask because, India, apart from being damn good on home turf, have an amazing team with all bases covered. They've won, 18 consecutive test series at home now, and winning a test series or test match even in India is probably the toughest task in the sport. And if you look at the team, right, Rohit and Kohli provide experience in the batting and are absolute legends. You've got Jaiswal and Gill, who are the future and, generational talents with the bat. They've got youth and exuberance. Rishabh Pant is back and he's still phenomenal, whereas Ashwin and Jadeja are one of the best spin bowling partnerships of all time. You add Jasprit Bumrah to the mix, who I think is the best all-format cricketer in contemporary cricket. And, Mohammad Siraj is there. Mohammad Shami's injured right now. So all of that.
And you're also talking about this team right now.
Yes.
But before that, they had Rahane and Pujara to pick from. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you go back recently, Ishant Sharma with one of the best comebacks in the history of mankind, before and after, it's not just like this current 11 or anything that we're talking about. We're talking about a group of, let's say, 15 to 20 players over a period of a couple of years. And now a long time, as you said, 18 consecutive series. So I think it's so much more than just right now. It really has been going on for a while.
Absolutely. And it's a unit basically across a span of years, which screams invincible on home soil. That's basically what it is. And right now, they don't really have any holes in the team. And no other team is really set up to beat them in the current climate.
No, and a lot of this came out of, there was a question that we were asked on a live, I think. But a lot of this also came out of Bangladesh, with Bangladesh the team that was best set up to beat them, right?
Yeah.
And I suppose you could go back to Australia, Australia with the two younger spinners and Cameron Green in that lineup. Like they had some stuff that was going on there. But you look at it and it's like, well, all the other Asian teams have gone to shit. Like there was a period of time in this, and we'll bring this team up later. There's a period of time during this reign. It would have been really interesting to see Pakistan go up against India, but they don't play them. But if they played them now, they would not win. They would not win a match, right? They might win a toss.
They will not win a session.
they might not win a session, right? Current form, Pakistan. And, Sri Lanka haven't been particularly strong all the way through, although, just of recent times they've started to amp up. Obviously, Bangladesh and Afghanistan are still getting better. But so you don't have an Asian team. And that was the thing that got to me. So when I started to think about Australia and West Indies, the two last major dominant sides, Australia had South Africa there at all times, right? Now, South Africa didn't have a great spinner, but South Africa did pretty well in Australia during Australia's great run. And certainly at the start of it, was it 94 when South Africa, was it 1-1? And when they won the test in Sydney and everything, they brought some good teams over and they were eventually the team that beat Australia, right? It was most likely going to be South Africa. And then you go to the West Indies. Again, the West Indies had to go up against Australia. Now, they were pretty lucky that probably in the late 70s when Australia was really good, Kerry Packer obviously meant that wasn't possible. So they didn't have to go up against as many good Australian teams for a period of probably about 4 or 5 years, right? And then when they did, Jeff Thompson had done his shoulder. Lilly was starting to age out, so that team was no longer as dominant. So they had to wait a decade, but then the next decade, Australia start to find fast bowlers again. They find a leg spinner. Their batting is incredible. And they beat West Indies. And so you look at it and you just go, well, if Australia had a little bit of luck, they might have been in a good position to do that. But you look at the teams who did push against the West Indies, it was New Zealand and it was Pakistan, and they were probably not really set to go to the West Indies and dominate. Right, they were more set to play them very good on flatter pitches or on greener pitches and tear them up a little bit at times. So the West Indies did have other teams that were set up that could cause them problems. You look at India and you're just like, it's not just, and you can still argue that the West Indies are better teams than India. I'm not saying that India is a better team than either of those two, but what I am saying is when you look at the map, there isn't a side that you just go, oh, wow, I can't wait for this thing to play India, because you're just like, well, the Australians should do okay, but Australia hasn't done well against India at home. And they've held in a way, I would say, compared to maybe England and New Zealand. But they haven't looked good in India. They've just looked like they're holding in and keeping themselves relevant. Was it 2016, 2017?
Look,
that series?
India, since they lost that test series at home to England in 2012, have lost just 4 test matches at home. 2 of them have been Australia and 1 of them is England, right? I can't, for the life of me, remember who the 4th team is.
Did South Africa win one or New Zealand?
Did they? Because 2 for sure are Australia, right? On different tours.
Oh, no. England's won twice, haven't they?
England I guess.
So it'd be England twice. But the thing is, in the series that England won, it ended up being really one-sided. I think the difference is that Australia if you look at that 2017 tour, Australia had a chance to win that series, right?
Yep.
Like they were in a really good position to do that. The last one was a bit messier. I wouldn't say Australia had a chance, but again, it felt like Australia were in those series. Whereas I suppose with England had a chance in the first 2 tests this time, but the last time they won that first test, and then India's spinners came back, and that was the end of the series. So, you look at it and you're like, well, who is the team that's going to go there right at the moment and do well? And then that's where that question sort of comes from of who are the teams in history that would go there and go well? So I got a message today from someone who said, "Oh, you missed this team." It's in my Twitter, and he was like, "It was 1970s England, and the team was Derek Underwood, so a great spinner. The second spinner was Ray Illingworth, who's a bit more of a part-time spinner. That a good batting lineup and good pace, and you're just like, so Derek Underwood, let's say him and Jadeja count each other out. Ray Illingworth is part-time. Is he going to count out Ashwin if the pitch is spin? And who's the third spinner if Akshar or Kuldeep comes in?" Right. True. And that is where it gets really, really tricky. And then, okay, so India decide we're going to beat you with pace. You've got a lot of England seamers. I'm not saying they're bad seamers. How are they going to bowl on those wickets compared to Bumrah?
Yeah.
Right?
Those are all fair questions to ask.
Do you know what I mean? And that's when you start to go, oh, shit, this is not easy at all to find a team throughout history. And, we had the people in Discord, and as you said, the people in our chat as well talking about it. A lot of the more obvious teams, when you drill down on it, it's like, that's a really good team. That's not set up to beat this India team right at the moment.